In today's Whiteboard Leadership Moment, I want to talk to you about the pressure points of change. Most of us at some point in our lives have had a change of career, a change of job, a change that has really affected lots of areas of life. And what we're going to try to do in this leadership moment is talk about the different areas that change could be difficult and create more pressure on the person making the change. And we, as those who are hiring others, need to recognize that moment. And those of us who are actually experiencing the change need to recognize that as well and give ourselves some grace. So let's first talk about the professional challenges, the professional pressure points. The first is the scope of responsibility. Sometimes we take jobs that have a much greater scope of responsibility. There's a great learning curve that you and I have because we're taking on a much broader spectrum of things that we're responsible for. And just know that puts a lot of pressure. Like I said, there's a learning curve. There's an understanding of the organization, understanding of what you're responsible for, who you're responsible to, and how to be responsible with the things you've been given. And so it's a big pressure point for us. The second is culture. Every time you move from organization to organization, you're going to have a different culture. There'll be different attitudes and values, different beliefs, different behaviors, different ways of doing things, and you have to get adjusted to that culture. There'll be a different pace. There'll be different language. All those things are pressure points to have to learn those things. Different people who are in power. It's a difficult thing to move from one culture to another. And then there's industry change. Some of us sometimes will move out of the local church ministry into something that's not local church, or perhaps they'll move from an established American church onto the mission field, or perhaps from being a church planter to an established church pastor. All those different industries are different. Even though they're a part of ministry, they're different. Some will go to missions organizations, or perhaps they'll move out of a career in business into the church ministry. Whatever it is, the industry change, you just have to recognize there's pressure points for the individual in that. And in all these things, it'd be really wise to create an orientation scenario, not just to hire them for the job, but help them orient to the new things. And then there's also personal pressure points. The first is financial. Is it a raise or is it a decline in income? A lot of people who get into ministry find that there's a decline in income from the business world into the ministry world, and there's a great adjustment for them. There's a pressure point there. Then geographically, we move. We move to different locations, and I moved from Arizona to Florida in recent years. In Arizona, I got to tell you, it was very, very dry there. In Florida, not so much. Very, very wet here, and there's a change there. And my kids were affected by that as well, which is the last one, the season of life change. When we moved, we went from having 3 kids within reach of us to having no kids within reach of us. It was an empty nest move for us. Our kids were graduating high school and graduating college and moving to places around the country. And so it was definitely a challenge. The season of life was a challenge for us, and I'm sure it is for others. A lot of times the kids are in school and there's an impact of their friendships and stuff when they make these kinds of moves. The reason we're having this conversation is all of us need to be sensitive and wise as we hire and as we make choices in our own life about different changes, just knowing that these things will impact us. And we need to pray that God helps us have wisdom and courage in whatever process we're going through. This has been a Converge Whiteboard Leadership Moment. To learn more about Converge or to join us, check out converge.org.